Today, every prospective first-time buyer must watch this video. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Welcome to the latest post covering finance and property news with a distinctively Australian flavour. And just a quick reminder before we start that on Tuesday at 8 PM Sydney time, I'll be running my next live stream event, which will be a Q&A session on digital and money printing. And I'll be joined by Alex Saunders from Nuggets News. And we're going to look at things like stable coins, digital currencies, central bank digital currencies, and how this all plays into the quantitative easing. So mark your diaries and feel free to ask a question live on the show on Tuesday at 8 PM. I'll see you then. Well, over the last few days, the spruikers have been out in force, and it's all aimed at first-time buyers, and the ABS release of their new lending indicators for August 2020 was the starting point. Now, those statistics revealed that the number of owner-occupier first home buyer loan commitments increased 17.7% in seasonally adjusted terms from the previous month. And the number of first home buyer loan commitments for investment purposes accounted for 4.2% of all first home buyer commitments in original terms, and owner-occupier first home loan buyer loan commitments accounted for 34.2% of all owner-occupier commitments, excluding refinancing, in original terms. And the data also showed that all states and territories, apart from the Northern Territory, displayed rises in owner-occupied first home loan buyer commitments in August. And so the media went mad, saying, hey, first-time buyers are back, the market's booming, everybody should pile in. But, and this is an important but, please note that this is based on commitments, not loans drawn down. And a commitment is, as the ABS says, borrower-accepted commitments made for the purposes of housing, personal and business lending. A borrower-accepted commitment is a firm offer to provide a loan which has been accepted by the borrower. A commitment exists once the loan application has been approved and a loan contract or a letter of offer has been issued to the borrower, and the borrower has accepted the offer. And data is sourced from all authorised deposit-taking institutions and registered financial corporations that have significant lending activity in Australia for the purposes of housing, personal or business lending. So let's be clear. A commitment is not the same as a funded drawdown, which can take place weeks or months later or not at all, and is often subject to further checks and a property valuation. Thus, a commitment does not necessarily reflect a lift in total credit lent, which to some extent explains why total loan growth remains sluggish, as shown by the RBA data at the start of the month, as balances are also including loans repaid alongside refinances and loans drawn down. But almost none of the mainstream reports made this really important point. They rather jump straight to, whoopee, lending is back. To which I say, not so fast. And also, on first-time buyers, the federal government last week extended their First Home Loan Deposit Scheme, the FHLDS, until June 2021 and included an extra 10,000 places after first home buyers took up almost all of the 20,000 places previously available. The scheme allows first home buyers to buy properties subject to price caps with deposits as low as 5% of the purchase price, with the federal government guaranteeing up to 15% of the loan. And it's open to individuals earning up to $125,000 and couples up to $200,000. Now, buyers, of course, are attracted by the chance to get a foot on the property ladder much sooner, and arguably the scheme could save buyers money on price as values often rise during the time it takes someone to save for a 20% deposit. Although we think prices are set to go sideways or down from here, so that may not now necessarily be true. And the scheme also stops people paying rent to a landlord, which is often thought of as dead money, although in fact in the current market, paying rent and remaining flexible, even as rents fall, may make more sense, especially if home prices are also due to slide. But that said, the government has repeatedly talked up the scheme's intended impact on the economy, with Assistant Treasurer Michael Sukkar telling reporters the grants not only help first home buyers, but also support the jobs of Australia's tradies. And there you have the truth. This is a bribe to help the construction sector. And first-time buyers are effectively the cannon fodder, so buyer should be beware. And Curtin University property lecturer J. Han Ho, who was quoted in the New Daily, said the raised price caps were a double-edged sword, as although they grant buyers more opportunities, they could encourage them to overextend. There's a fear of missing out on purchasing an ideal property when the markets are bad. But the scary thing is a lot of people don't realise that home prices can go backwards over long periods of time, which is what we saw in Western Australia over the last 7 years, Dr. Ho said. Although saving on lenders' mortgage insurance is a good idea now, whether it's a good or bad decision down the track rests on how long it takes for the negative effects of COVID to properly wash through the economy. And coupled with the Coalition's intention to relax responsible lending laws, the extension of the FHLDS would likely add to Australia's near-record levels of housing debt, he said. And he warned the two measures could expose some buyers to the risk of a margin call, where banks ask borrowers with smaller deposits to increase payments if prices crash or risk losing their home. Banks have traditionally not done that because bullying Aussie battlers and families is unpalatable, he said. But if we continue creating a market where banks lend money to risky customers or those not fully aware of how to manage finances, banks may start giving people 60-day periods to recoup some of their losses. And according to Rate City, buyers should beware too. This is because the scheme slugs borrowers with much higher interest payments. Home loan products that accept people with lower deposits often charge high interest, which can have adverse consequences. If prices go down, you could find yourself very quickly in negative equity, where you are in fact not in a position to refinance. And in fact, according to the New Daily, first home buyers could blow an extra $140,000 on interest payments if they purchase a new property under the scheme. And that's based on the unlikely assumption that interest rates remain at their current levels for the next 30 years. Data provided to the New Daily showed that although the scheme could save first home buyers tens of thousands of dollars in lenders' mortgage insurance, it could cost them much more than that in high interest payments. And according to calculations by ratecity.com.au, first home buyers who purchase a home at the new Sydney price cap of $950,000 with a 5% deposit would avoid paying around $37,928 in lender's mortgage insurance, but they would then pay $141,904 in additional interest over the life of a 30-year loan with a rate of 3.13%. And that equates to an extra $790 in mortgage repayments every month. Meanwhile, Melbonians who hit the scheme's upper price limit of $850,000 and use a 5% deposit would fork out an additional $126,967 in interest payments, but only save $33,935 in lender's mortgage insurance. And aspiring homeowners in Brisbane would pay an extra $97,092 in interest payments and save only $25,950. Rate City Research Director Sally Tyndall told the New Daily the numbers show why first home buyers should think carefully before signing up to the FHLDS. And with the economy in turmoil and house prices tipped to keep falling until mid-2021, Ms. Tyndall said rushing to buy a home in today's market with only a 5% deposit was a high-risk strategy with potentially little reward. I wouldn't say all, but many people with a 5% deposit probably don't have a good track record in savings, she said, but hopefully they'll be able to manage a sizable loan because it's not for 1 or 2 years while rates are low. A home loan is for 30 years, and you want to ensure you don't get in hot water down the track. So make a decision for your family for now and in the long term, and don't get overly swayed by schemes and incentives designed to boost the property market and the construction industry. And I would add, be realistic about your prospective income ahead, because there is little chance of a substantive pay rise anytime soon for most, and unemployment is set to rise higher as JobKeeper is wound back and more SMEs fail in the months ahead. And I've spoken to a number of people who took the first tranche of the first home loan deposit scheme and who bought earlier in the year, only to find that the 5% deposit they saved has been washed away due to falling home prices. And so my advice to any prospective first-time buyer is do think through this carefully. Don't be swept away by that prospect of free money from the government. There's no such thing. And these extra schemes where you're actually being encouraged to borrow more and having to pay back more, of course, will cost and may cost in ways that you could never imagine. I'm Martin North from Digital Finance Analytics. Many thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.